I was born here in America. Both of my parents immigrated from Ethiopia before I was born, and they spoke it at home. So growing up, I spoke Amharic and I spoke English. It's hard to be really good at two languages.
I was born and raised in a different country, that is Cameroon. When we grew up in Cameroon, we speak all of these different languages.
I was born in Germany, in Berlin, the capital city. I learned both German and English growing up.
I basically picked it up when we were just talking around in the house.
I was born in Nigeria. I came here when I was 9. I used to be more fluent in Yoruba, but now I'm like more fluent in English because I don't speak it as much with people here.
My grandma was really present growing up because she's from Ethiopia, and because she speaks no English, I grew up having to speak to her only in Tigrinya and Amharic.
So I was born in America. Both of my parents immigrated here in the 90s. And considering that they don't speak English very well, Vietnamese is the only language that we use at home. It's more like conversational stuff, like how am I doing and what food to eat.
Initially, I think I just wanted to learn it because I wanted to be able to speak with my family better and understand them. And I remember going to Morocco when we were really little, and I wasn't able to understand anyone, and I wasn't able to speak with my grandparents, and I just felt bad. So yeah, I just picked it up.
So my university, which was Northwestern, they offered Portuguese classes, and we have to take a language there. So I ended up taking Portuguese. I also wanted to go travel to the Amazon rainforest. That's in Brazil, but they also speak Portuguese.
I do speak Spanish at home. Most of my family speaks Spanish and not English.
Although I was born here in America, my parents taught me Tagalog while I was learning English at the same time.
I personally learned Indonesian when I moved to Indonesia in 2011, and then ever since then I've been speaking it at home.
I learned to speak French through high school and through university. I did what we call un stage, or a stay in France for about 6 months, is where I really learned how to speak the language.
I was born in Ukraine, and Ukrainian was the first language I knew.
I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, but amongst a Polish family. My grandparents spoke it a lot, particularly my grandpa when I was growing up and around.
I was born and raised with it because I have to help translate for my family, so I grew up speaking that language.
I was born in the States, but my parents taught me Korean. And Korean was my first language, so I grew up speaking Korean until I entered preschool and kindergarten.
I was born in Odessa, Ukraine. I came to America when I was about 5. I don't speak any English at home. In kindergarten, when I moved here, I was able to compare the English language to the Russian language and kind of figure out the characteristics of each.
So one of the advantages is you can go travel to other countries and interact with the people, and that's what happened to me. 2013, I went to Brazil, where I was able to do work in a laboratory on little tropical ant birds that eat ants, obviously. I was able to, meet people, go party, go hang out, and then travel to Rio de Janeiro and Foz do Iguaçu.
I guess the advantages is that when, trying to tell a secret, you can speak in your own language and people don't understand.
An advantage for sure would just be that it allows me to connect more with the culture.
In general, I just like the privacy of little stuff, especially in grocery stores when you're just making simple talk.
Being able to communicate with your family, especially back home.
So easy for you to navigate through and understand what is going on.
I'm able to branch out and show people that it's a lot more than just a language.
You have a deeper respect for other languages.
With language, there is culture tied to it, so an understanding of two cultures is really cool. Gives you a unique opportunity to be a bridge between two cultures.
It connects people. Honestly, it's giving me diversity in culture and a lot of knowledge to bring to a table or to a conversation. It is kind of a point of pride also, and nobody should really ever be ashamed of speaking another language.
Ability to communicate with others, not just on a communication level, but on a culture level, because when you speak someone's language, you then speak towards their heart and who they are.
We don't communicate well even when it's in our home language. So the more we can communicate in other languages, I think that's something that brings us together as people. I think the people that are truly fluent in multiple languages are blessed and gifts to our world.
I think diversity makes us stronger. So anytime I see a kid that might be holding back or maybe afraid to share who they are or part of their cultural background, I try to encourage them, don't hold back. show us who you are, be proud of who you are, that makes who you are. And I think we're a pretty good school that tries to make that aware to all of our kids, and at least tries to celebrate a lot of that. So I'm all about letting kids know when they do either dress in some of their cultural background dress. It's cool to do that. It's good to do that, and they should do that to honor some of our ancestors and where we come from in our families, because that's who we are.